Welcome to the USA, where everyone needs a gimmick. Since Disney bought Fox, everyone has had one of two reactions. Number one, awesome, X-Men in the MCU. Or number two, this is a horrible monopoly of artistic values. There is no way that we will continue forward with the same amount of diverse cinematic or otherwise properties. I have gone for the latter. Disney is buying everything, and I do mean everything. There's some things that Disney owns that we don't even know they own. ESPN, just to name one. It's honestly really scary to think about. And we're technically letting this happen. How long before Disney buys out Warner Brothers and us all cheer because there might be a chance that the Justice League and the Avengers might meet? Which, newsflash, that is a really stupid idea. The two teams and worlds don't hold any narratively similar aspect. It wouldn't make sense, and the amount of money and time that would go into making that type of film is just a logistic nightmare between the salaries of the actors, let alone the properties, and just paperwork. And money. The fact of the matter is that film just wouldn't be a good idea in the first place. Let's look at the real issue, which is monopoly. Do you really want to live in a world where the same people behind the BFG and Pete's Dragon are in charge of Deadpool? How long before they decide that certain properties are not family friendly enough? And if you are saying that this sounds absurd, a huge company like Disney understands that there must be some type of diversity between content, well, let's look at another company for a moment, the WWE. I know it's a stretch, but just bear with me. Back in the 90s and early 2000s, wrestling was the thing. Stone Cold, The Rock, and the Monday Night Wars. Couldn't have anything better. Some of the most edgy content on television, middle fingers, cursing, and plenty of violence from both sides of the war between WWE and the WCW. But after a while, WCW was losing the battle, and sure enough, they were gobbled up by WWE, and never the same. The WCW stars just never had the same traction in the WWE. Diamond Dallas Page, Booker T, Jeff Jarrett were made to make the WWE alumni look good. And of course, after years of no competition and the only thing standing in the way of an evolving company is a depleting fan base. And why were the fans leaving? Nothing was different enough to capture their attention, and as time went by, the WWE started marketing itself to the children of the world, which made the company go into an era of PG, which means no cursing, no explicit content, and of course, toned down violence. Now, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. Less violence means less injuries and more career time for the wrestlers. All I'm saying is that when a company creates a monopoly on a product, it means that they can keep shoveling the same stale garbage down our throat that we don't want. And why? Because where else are we going to go for it? With Disney, I didn't see a problem with this idea a few years ago. I love Disney films. Moana, Inside Out, Air Bud, all fun films, and with the addition of Marvel films, I had a thought for a long time that Disney could do no wrong. That was until the year 2015 when I saw Age of Ultron. Now, the Avengers sequel was by no means a bad flick or film, but it was showing me what Disney could and have done to Marvel, a property they owned. The trailer for Age of Ultron is by far the most hype I've had for a film. Even after watching the film, I still love the feeling I get from the trailer. It shows what needed to happen with it. Avengers 2 needed to be darker, and that's what I thought would happen from the trailer. Ultron would be the hardening, dark villain that would change the Marvel world for the worse. It would define the universe and lead us to other threats like Thanos. But what we got instead from Ultron was bad quips and banter from a ripoff of Robert Downey Jr. The Avengers should have been destroyed emotionally by the end of the film, at each other's throats. I thought that would lead us to Civil War, but Disney thought it would be more beneficial to their toy lines to have the Avengers stay a friendly team for a few more years. That way, kids would buy the full set of Avengers. Don't get me wrong, they definitely rectified this with Civil War with that tone. But here is when they started to lose their magic touch, and honestly, they still haven't recovered. But they don't have to recover. DC is trying hard to become the competition we so desperately need for Marvel to give us better, more thought-provoking, narrative and character-driven films. The problem is that every time they slip up, instead of hoping for better films, most moviegoers have turned it into some type of war between Marvel and DC. They're happy when DC slips up, as if Marvel is some home team they root for over and over, but there's only so many times you can root for the Patriots before you get bored and want a change-up. Yes, DC films haven't been good. At least not that recently, Wonder Woman excluded, but we should still give it the chance they deserve. Suicide Squad and Batman v Superman has been some of the worst pieces of trash I've been able to lay my eyes on, but at least they are something to behold from a different angle. A darker tone is welcomed when all we've been getting is quips and flips. Don't get me wrong, I love earnest and colorful, which is what Man of Steel should have been, but we need a contrast to that. One that doesn't fret and reshoot everything to make it more fun. Honestly, Warner Brothers, I'm trying with you. If you have a plan, stick with it and don't back out at the last second. That's how you get wonky, messed up films like Batman v Superman, I can't even say it. Just call it the world's finest. Not Batman versus, they didn't fight. Stop! Oh, I'm sorry, I'm trying with you. Warner Brothers, I'm trying with you. Okay, think about this. Alien, Predator, Avatar, Ice Age, Simpsons, all of these properties and more are in danger from Disney. And Fox has more, honestly. Fox has a lot more, and they have films that should be made that don't even have to be franchises. They have other films. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of writers in the world that need a chance in order to make their own films. And if Disney buys up Fox, there's just another chance gone that everyone has to go through Disney to get through. I agree that not everything should be edgy and not everything should be just colorful, but if we keep our tunnel vision on like Disney has for more family-friendly content, with Marvel especially, then we're not going to get anything different, and we're not going to learn. But that finally brings me to why everyone's so happy with this sinful buyout. The X-Men, comic nerds, Marvel fans, masochists, even myself once upon a time have probably lost their minds at the idea of the X-Men in the Marvel Universe. But let me tell you why that just wouldn't work or make sense. Where have they been the whole time? Mutants have been around since ancient Egyptian times in the comics, and the world has always known about them. It's very hard to write that in as if they've been there the whole time, especially since the mutants are a metaphor for racism. And that leads me into another problem, which isn't only a problem cinematically. Rather, it's a problem I've always had with the X-Men and Marvel comics. Why do people hate the X-Men and love the Avengers? It's a complete hypocritical conspiracy. People hate the mutants because they're different from us, but so is literally any other character in the Marvel Universe. How can you hate a mutant but not Iron Man, or Thor, or Ant-Man? There's a flaw in trying to throw the X-Men into this universe, so why not just leave it alone? Let them keep building and destroying themselves in another universe. X-Men is the best and worst franchise in cinema. Bold and confusing statement, right? Well, here's why it's the worst franchise. Plain and simple, it just doesn't make sense. Honestly, can anyone put the X-Men films in the correct order with a true definitive canon to it? Emma Frost was in X-Men Origins, which is set in the 90s as a teenager, but also in First Class as an adult woman, which is set in the 60s. Angel is in The Last Stand and also Apocalypse, which is confusing enough before you throw in Days of Future Past, which apparently righted all wrongs by making The Last Stand and Origins non-canon. Which is completely wrong anyway, because it all doesn't make any sense. How does Wolverine going back in time stop Emma Frost or Angel from being born later or anything with Jean Grey? Really, the only continuity that matters in X-Men is the film that came before it. Because if you go too far past it, it doesn't make any sense. If you're watching X-Men Days of Future Past, First Class makes sense, but anything before that doesn't. It really is. There's such a messed up thing with the X-Men, it bothers me, but at the same time, the continuity is all out of whack. No one can tell you for sure what the hell is going on, ever. And that makes it the worst franchise to follow. Between recasts and reboots, what keeps you invested? Nothing. But that is the beauty of this franchise. What makes it truly amazing, and we shouldn't waste this opportunity. Someone sat in a boardroom and said at some point, we really painted ourselves into a corner here, what do we do? And whoever was in charge said something akin to, fuck it. 'Cause why not? If it's all fucked anyway, just make anything. Remake the Dark Phoenix saga with new actors. Do a horror film set in the X-Men world. Oh, now Deadpool is here. Who the fuck cares? Yeah, do a version of Old Man Logan with none of the characters from the comic. That movie has no bearing on any of the other films. They've said it themselves. That Logan is one of the best comic book films ever made. Even one of the best X-Men. Fuck it. It's a great film in general. It doesn't have to have any continuity with any of the other X-Men, so why not just keep telling stories that don't make sense, that have no continuity? Because that's the beauty of comics if you actually read them. If you go too far into a character's past, there's going to be loopholes all over the place. All over the place. Who cares? Tell great stories. Don't let the laws of past films bring these people down when they're making great film. Logan doesn't make any sense to any of the past films with the X-Men. And normally this would bother me with any other franchise, but it's so just messed up in general. Why not just take this opportunity to make more films with greater meanings and just do something? But yeah, do a version of Old Man Logan with none of the characters from the comic. Why? Because they can and they will. That's what makes the X-Men the best franchise. There are honestly no rules. If they recasted Wolverine, which is happening, no one can complain about continuity. We don't know anything for certain that is the X-Men canon. It's almost like Highlander, which only makes sense if you think every film is in a different universe. So go ahead, do a version of X-Men with a new cast. I get that it's hard to put investment into a product where nothing stays the same, but that's the Marvel Universe for you. If everyone kept up with comics, they'd understand that. Everything can change in a year or one issue, and that's what the X-Men are. They change every movie, so why not go buck wild with that endeavor? I've gone way overboard here, but my point is this. If we let ourselves be blinded by a corporation's greedy plans in disguise as giving us what we want, eventually it won't be what we want. It'll be whatever they give us, and we will have to be okay with that. If one animation company bought out every other animation company, they wouldn't have to work as hard to make their animation look better, because either way, we will see their product. Or if a football team bought out every other team, that football team wouldn't have to compete at all for the prize, and no game would ever be as compelling. Hopefully more companies will pop up to battle the media monolith known as Disney, because if they don't, it'll be nothing but Frozen sequels and subpar films in general. A wise man once said, "The many heads of a hydra intimidate the hero, until the hero realizes the weakness of its one body." And that man was me, saying it right now. And if I could quote one of, if not the best comic book film of all time, either you die the hero or live long enough to become the villain. But this isn't a Marvel vs. DC video, this is a Disney monopolization worry video, a warning if you will. So I don't even have to focus on only the Marvel films. It seems that Disney is retracting, going backwards. They're going back to the 90s, trying to do all these live action films with The Jungle Book, and they're trying out for The Lion King, Aladdin, Cinderella, Maleficent. And all these films are just so subpar, and we're letting it happen. They're going back. They're not trying to go forward with other films, other live action films, other animated films, drawing, 2D. Instead, they're going computer generated every year. Disney may have made amazing films in the past, but they're slipping. They've slipped in the past as well with films like Treasure Planet, an amazing, just so overwhelmingly great film that they just let slip under the radar because of things like marketing. They've made mistakes, and they will continue to make mistakes no matter what. If they buy everything, everything will be under the Disney banner, and everything will be their mistake. There won't be chances for other people to jump in and say, how about this, how about this, how about this, how about this. It's scary to think about that their mistakes will always be their mistakes. Clear your schedules, gentlemen. Stop, Jace. Stop, why? It's only when I'm talking. No, it's not even only when I'm talking. It's when I'm only recording that you have to go on meowing. I talk over there. I talk on the phone. I don't hear bullshit from you. But as soon as I get behind this goddamn mic, you're shit. Fuck you.